Hey, how's it going? Good. How about you? Oh, I didn't have it yet, but I'll work with the whole. I'll get it. Oh, great. I set it up. I have it by email. Flowers or something. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Right at my house.
Check, check.
I agree. I know, but yeah, as long as it's
Yes, yeah,
Oh, yeah, talk to me. Do I have to sit down though? Okay, good. And good evening. First off, I want to thank everyone for coming out on a Wednesday night. Hopefully we've given you advance enough notice so you can divert some of your plans to be here. But I just want to let you know how excited I am that you all have taken time out of your schedule to come out and participate in this meet and greet. I would sit down, but it's probably due to two things. I'm really excited about this occasion, and I actually prefer to stand and sort of walk back and forth. So, thank you again. I'm Stephen Bournet. I am the proud superintendent of Cardinal Nation and School City of East Chicago. I'm really excited to start this chapter with you as we get ready to embark upon the 24-25 school year. And I did get a chance to meet a number of you, either previously to today or tonight, but that's the purpose of this evening, so we can have some conversation. I have a very brief presentation, because we want to spend the time doing more dialoguing than me just talking at you. Okay, where's the next one? Alrighty. What we want to do going forward in this path forward as we move with purpose and intention is to make sure that our district mission and vision is always at the forefront of everything that we say and that we do, and that it aligns, all of our actions align with this mission and vision. So whenever we have any presentation at the district level, at our school level, part of what we are as the fabric of Cardinals and being Cardinal strong is making sure that the mission and vision is at the forefront. So The School City of East Chicago is committed to developing a community of lifelong learners who are empowered to access, to process, to evaluate, and ethically apply information in an ever-changing global society. The schools throughout East Chicago are a dynamic, motivating, flexible, and cooperative community of students, parents, educators, residents, agencies, and businesses, learning, dialoguing, and sharing. So we want to make sure that's always at the center and crux of what we do. So I do want this opportunity for you to get to know a little bit about me. And so the next couple of slides just capture that before we go into really what we would like to accomplish in my role as the new superintendent. So some of you may have witnessed or heard or seen, I'm the youngest of 7 sons. I grew up on the south side of Chicago in the housing projects, which are no longer standing, called Stateway Gardens. It was across from what was called Comiskey Park. So for the record state, I am a Sox fan. For those who are wondering, even though I may have gone somewhere in northern part of Chicago, I've always been a Sox fan. It's something about being able to look out the 11th floor window across the Dan Ryan Expressway and seeing the fireworks when the Sox hit a home run. So I grew up with that experience and being able to walk physically from 3833 South Federal across the bridge to the park. Parent of a single, child of a single parent home. My mom raised 7 sons in the housing project. And the reason why I mention that is because she was so immensely proud of the fact that she raised 7 sons that were never murdered, had never been incarcerated, and had all graduated from high school. That was what she told us. She said, this is what I've done. I've only have a 9th grade education, but my sons have graduated from high school. And she wasn't ashamed to share that with people. So that has impacted me, a fabric of who I am as an educator. And that is why I am very much connected to any of our parents and community members who want to come in and volunteer and support our schools in that fashion, with however they show up, with whatever means they have. Once again, saying my mom was a classroom volunteer from when I was in 2nd grade well into when I graduated from that from that elementary school. I'm a father and a family man. So you have 3 of my children. No, I do not have their permission to put their pictures up in this PowerPoint slide. But I have 3 different children who have also impacted who I am as an educator. So I do have Dominic, my oldest, who is a traditional or typical student. He was an honor student. He took AP classes. He was in theater. He was this. He was that. He was the firstborn, so he was a proud parent. Dominic could do no wrong. But I also have Imani, who is my special needs student, who, as an educator, I fought and was an advocate for her to make sure that we were complying with her IEP and her 504, because that's what was incredibly important. Imani's a successful early childhood educator. And she loves working with those students who had the same challenges that she had as a student. And then I have Jeremiah, who is not my oldest, who is not the traditional student, who is not the special needs student. He is the typical classroom student that we have that come in our threshold every day, that challenges every teacher to the core. So he's the youngest. So I have all 3. Jeremiah forges his own path. So when you hear me talk about that we want to make sure children have choices, not everyone is going to go to college. Not everyone is going to go to college at their pace. So Dominic was traditional. In around 4 years. Owns an animation studio in California. Imani, hey, I'm not going to go to school full time. I'm going to do part-time, and I'm going to do what I can manage. Jeremiah said, college is not for me. And Jeremiah decided to forge his own path and be an entrepreneur and do a number of things, and is still successful. We want to make sure our kids are equipped so they can have choices to do what they want to do. But we want to make sure that they have a choice and not default. I have to do this because I haven't been prepared to do anything else. So you will hear me talk about the importance of preparing our students for both, to be college and career ready. We're going to expose them to both. We need to expose them to both and not just one or the other. And I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I share that with you for a couple of reasons. One, it is also part of the fabric of who I am as an educator. That organization believes in achievement in every field of human endeavor, which is what I strive to pass upon my children and then our children, which you've entrusted me to into their care. How they can achieve in whatever they do, regardless if they decide to go an alternate route, if they decide to go straight to college, if they decide that, hey, I want to open my own business. Whatever they're going to do, we want you to be the very best that you can be possible. But it starts here, preparing them to be that successful. So, a slide full of colleges and universities, it just means in short that I have been in somebody's school and I really am a lifelong learner. So when my brother called me on a Saturday and I said, oh, I can't talk right now, I'm actually on a Zoom, I'm in class. And so this is well after I had earned a doctorate. He says, well, Stephen, you can't get any smarter. Why are you still in school? Because there are some things I still needed to learn. So I most recently have been a member of the Howard University Urban Superintendent's Academy to make sure that I am very well prepared to lead this school district, School City of East Chicago, and we can bring to it what is needed in terms of an equity and a diversity lens, and preparing to lead in a community that has Black and brown students. And then finally, I want to share with you my career, my journey into education, my journey into ed leadership. So you'll see I have a diversity of experiences around first being a classroom teacher, and then venturing into administration. I thoroughly enjoy being in the classroom. That is why I've done adjunct work, because I love teaching. And so I'm a teacher's teacher, and I love doing that. I probably won't have as much time to do that because I want to make sure I'm really committed and devoted to supporting and engaging with our stakeholders in this community. But from an assistant principal to a turnaround principal to district office, chief academic officer, et cetera, remember my goal was always to achieve in every field. And so I'm honored to actually have met this career goal, is to be your next superintendent. When we talk about the experiences that have led me to be prepared to be here, I was fortunate enough to be in Evanston Township as an English teacher and humanities teacher. And I was fortunate to be, my very first administrative position was at a high-performing school on the south side of Chicago. That was important because that is where it was a 300-student school. It was only one classroom at each grade level. But that is what prepared me to know what's possible for our children. It was a group of committed and dedicated and involved parents that came out to PTA meetings and came out to parent-teacher conferences. It was a high-performing school. There were kids from the neighborhood. There was a waiting list because we could only have 300 kids. But it showed me what was possible when you have parents and community members and resources that you work with in order to achieve goals. So I got my start at Amelia Earhart on the south side of Chicago. Very appreciative for that, and my mentor, Dr. Brenda J. Williams. What we want to do is now sort of transition to what's next. What are we getting ready to prioritize and focus on? And so when we talk about the focuses for this school year and in my role as superintendent, first thing we need to tackle or address is our mission, vision, and strategic plan. We absolutely have to have something that is leading and guiding us and using something to set our course for where we're headed. So We know that is absent. So over the next month or so, you will hear me talk about the need to engage our community, our stakeholders, our staff, our parents, all of our community residents who are concerned about the success of our children to come and start talking about what that strategic plan is going to look like. So when you see that invitation or that email, please sign up, and we will be having those meetings monthly so we can get that forged. The next focus area is the meat and potatoes of what we're going to do. It's about student outcomes. You'll see attendance is listed first. It's not because that's the most important student outcome. It's just one of the foundational student outcomes. We have to make sure that our students are coming to school on a regular basis so that they can be recipients and benefit the instruction that our teachers are providing. It's only when we ensure that they are here that we can now say, I know what they can do because they've had solid instruction. So once we tackle student attendance, we now shift our focus to now improving literacy and numeracy, all those things that we need them to do. And you'll hear me say these two words, proficiency or progress. So some of our students are behind. Some of our students are not where they're supposed to be on grade level. We want to make sure they're proficient, and if they're not proficient, we want to make sure they're making progress. Those are the two things we absolutely must do. And if they are not being proficient, then what resources do we have at our disposal? What resources do we have that's going to help them bridge that gap so they can become proficient? And it's not impossible. Someone will say, oh, there's so many grade levels behind. They can still make progress. But it takes some very concentrated focus to do that. We did that work when we were in Chester, PA last year. I've done that work when we were in Camden, New Jersey. I've done that work on the south side of Chicago. But it takes a little bit slower time. It takes a hyper focus to move ahead. And we're going to, some of those things have worked in other districts, and we're going to make them work here. But I need your help to do that. So I need my parents' support, I need my community support, and I most of all need my staff in the school buildings to help us get there. And then the ultimate student outcome is our graduation rate. Now, we're very proud of our most recent graduation rate. We're going to do that and then some. Our goal is to make sure that our students are not just graduating, but are also graduating prepared, once again, to do what I've talked about earlier. How do we make sure that when I graduate them, they have options? So, hey, I've been exposed to the CTE pathway, but I've also taken classes where I can go into the college if I want to. I get to choose. We want them to graduate with those choices. So we do want to increase our graduation rate. The next thing we want to do is talk about how we're going to retain our teaching staff, how we're going to retain all of our staff who support our students. We're going to be making some very aggressive efforts to do that. It's also going to take some input from our staff. What do we need to do? And I'll talk in a few minutes about my 100-day entry plan where you get to give me feedback and input. It's important that we retain teachers for two reasons. Students need an adult that they connect with in order to do well. When that adult leaves, that relationship that student has starts to deteriorate. They don't connect with an adult that might be a sub that they're going to see for 2 weeks and then they leave. So it's really critical that we keep that person in front of our students so we don't interrupt their instruction. So that's also one of my focus areas. And then finally, how do we engage our community and our civic partnerships to make sure they come and support, as well as supporting and bolstering the resources we have within the district? So that's important too. So everything can't happen within the school building. There are some support and assistance we need outside of the school building. And that's also one of my focus areas. So I think last week I was out and about meeting. You're going to see me out and about at a lot of events coming up because I need to make sure that we can hit focus area 4. And I can't do that sitting in my office around down the corner. All right. So now I want to talk a little bit about the 100-day entry plan. So I've shared this with the School Board of Trustees. We will make the complete plan available and published on our website so our community members can also peruse it. And that is your first level of holding me accountable as your superintendent. I'm letting you know this is what I said I'm going to do. And then after that 100-day entry plan, there will be a report that we're going to publish where I've showed you what we've done over the first 100 days. So part of that is how we're going to engage all of these stakeholder groups. So these first 30 days, I am meeting with our school board members. I'm meeting with district leaders, our principals, our directors at central office. We'll be meeting, there's plans to meet with our families. What does that look like? What does that look like when I meet with community and our civic leaders, our businesses, our university partners, Ivy Tech, other partnerships we have in the area and Purdue? What does that look like? So you'll see me in various aspects meeting with all those folks. And the reason why we're doing that because we have to engage all of these stakeholders. Because our focus area is how do we bring more partnerships into School City. Okay. So, and you might be able to see it better in your packet that you have. We've broken this up into 3 cycles. You'll see when you look at the cycles of the first 30 days and the next 30 days and the last 40, there is strategic planning involved. We start talking about the strategic plan during this cycle. And part of that is we going into our schools, talking with our leaders, talking with other stakeholders to say, what else do we need? What are we really good at and what can we get better? So I'll have frequent forums. There's town halls planned for every building, for our staff, as well as for the parents of that school. And those will be scheduled in the evening and we'll publish those so that everyone can come and give their feedback. That's the first round. It's an opportunity to meet me as well, but it's really to answer those 2 questions. What do we do really well and what can we get better at? Meeting with all our administrators, principals, district leaders, that's important because I need to know how I can support them. So I don't come in assuming anything. You have to physically tell me, this is how you can support me, Dr. Bourdain. And if you don't tell me how you can support me, guess what happens? I make up stuff. So to our benefit, please tell me how I can support you. You will see us using data to govern our decisions and inform our decisions. And we have lots of data. We're going to be talking about data, and I like to share those pieces of data with our community and our stakeholders so they know a slim reason why we're heading in this direction. Because the data has informed us we need to do X, Y, or Z. There'll be some opportunity to work with our school board. The board and I are going to have a collaborative relationship. In order to do that, we're going to be doing some things like having our leadership retreat, our board retreat. I'll do similar things with our principals and similar leadership retreats with the other central office administrators. So we become used to working together as a team, as one unit. There'll be some professional development. And that professional development serves a couple of reasons. Is to address the immediate levers we're going to use this year to move student achievement. And then finally, I set my own personal goals. So I'll frequently tell our teachers that my goal is to visit every teacher's classroom this school year. I try to do it in the first semester, first half of the school year. And my goal in doing that is that I want to see all of our teachers. I come in for 5 minutes, you pretend I'm not there, but it's really so I can keep my thumb on the pulse of what's going on in classrooms. And then finally, we also want to make sure that I do frequently go to PTA meetings. So if you attend PTA meetings and other type of PTSO meetings, yep, I'll be there. because that's my opportunity once again to interact with our parents. I come to parent-teacher conferences. You'll see me at sporting events. I want to make sure that our parents and our community have access to me, so that's where you'll see me. When we have our plan up and running, I will publicize, hey, come meet your superintendent or see the superintendent at this event, because I want you to know, oh, I'm coming. You know what? I need to go talk to him about such and such. Well, I'm letting you know where I'm going to be. So those are really important. And after we've done our town halls for our parents and our staff, I will have frequently some community forums. And we'll have them here at admin building, or we'll have them in other places in our community, working with some of our community partners, for the very purpose that I want you to have, once again, have access and tell me from now a community point of view, here's what I think we're doing really well, and here's what I think we can get better at. Okay. All right, so that concludes my presentation. I told you I didn't want to talk at you. I want us to start having a dialogue. But I do want to share with you this quote. You might get sick of hearing it. This quote resonates with me so much that when I first read it, I immediately applied it to what I was doing right now. We're about the business of opening doors for our children so they can access the future. Every opportunity we have to give our students is so we can let the future in. What's possible, what's achievable, things that they've never thought about. That is our job. And when we do our job and we do it well, then our students can graduate with choices. Okay. All righty. Thank you again for your attention. And I believe Ms. Askew had a hand up. Yes.
I'd like to know how and when will
You don't have PTA?
the.
You gotta work on that. So you're volunteering when we had that committee? You're gonna help us out? Thank you. You live around the corner, right? Got you. Okay. So, Ms. Wright, make sure Ms. Askew, when it's time to start the PTA. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. So, that list of university partners. Thank you.
Repeat the question.
Oh, thank you, President Archer. So the first question was when we're going to get PTA back and running. And Ms. Askew is volunteered to be on that committee. And we also have as a partner University of Vincennes. So in that portion where I say we're going to be engaging our university partners, we're going to make sure we have a complete list of all those that I might not have known of. Thank you. Other questions? Yes, and if you don't mind, if you can tell me your name. Thank you, Ms. White Arnold.
This is not a question, but I was at a team building
Mm-hmm.
event.
Mm-hmm. Team building.
Team was really, really good.
Okay.
And also, one of the attendees was the Boys and Girls Club.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned to them to be sure to get with you. Because we really want to catch our kids wherever they go to after school. We need to be there on the pulse of it.
Absolutely.
So, and then I'm also library board, not the library, Friends of the Library.
Mhm.
Friends of the Library. We help to assist the library.
Okay.
We would like for you to meet with the library so that we can, really capture.
Absolutely.
They got situations, and if they had a situation earlier in school, library knows when they get there, they can do a little healing.
Thank you. And I do plan to actually have one of my meet and greets at the library, so that'll get the ball rolling. Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am, in the back. Good evening. Monet. Yes. Yes. Mhm. Mhm. Yes. Okay. I did get it. Yes, I did. Thank you. I did get it.
Deborah Williams.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Absolutely. Miss Wright, raise your hand. So, if make sure if you need to have an appointment with me, you see Miss Wright, and she controls that calendar, and she will get you in. Absolutely. So once again, a couple of comments, making sure that we partner with our libraries and Friends of Libraries so that we can also have them offer additional support, as well as our Top 20 Foundation. I'm sorry. And the Boys and Girls Club. Yes, so we did a tour of the Boys and Girls Club last week. We do plan to go back because I'm planning to go back and just hang out with some of our East Chicago students who are participating in that summer program.
I did speak highly, and I spoke with the president.
Mhm.
So I would love for you to get with him because he told me to email him tonight.
Thank you, please do.
That way, when you go to the top, you kind of make sure that we work together.
That's
We don't want to disconnect.
That's our goal. Thank you, Ms. Arnold. No, it's
Arnold is fine.
okay, Ms. Arnold. Yes.
Okay, I noticed that you did have mentioned attendance.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. And do we know why the students are getting here at 10 o'clock? Okay. They missed the bus? Okay. They were playing video games late at night? Okay.
Stopped at the store across the street.
Stop this. Okay. So thank you. Kids here regularly and on time. Absolutely.
I think we need to also dig a little deeper in the area where they had the lead contamination.
Mm-hmm.
Those kids get on a bus, but if they miss a bus, they go home. They don't have an Uber, a regular bus service that will bring them. So I think we need to really look at data to see.
Absolutely.
Okay? And that includes staff as well as children.
When we do our planning for our strategic plan, there will be opportunities for our community members and stakeholders to join subcommittees wherever their passion lies. So obviously there's going to be a teacher retention subcommittee. There's going to be an attendance subcommittee as well as a student achievement graduation rate. So those three committees where folks can say like, I want to participate on the strategic plan, but my passion is really on attendance. Sign me up for that one. Okay, thank you, Ms. Randolph. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So to not have.
Absolutely. So those are two different items. So the teacher retention that's a part of the strategic plan and that focus is different from making sure that we're ready to open schools and teachers come back August 5th and the kids on August 8th. So that's a more urgent plan, making sure we have an adult that's qualified in front of our students. So that is also my radar right now, to make sure we're ready to open schools. And if you hear me put out an appeal for support and help and helping to recruit when we get to the 11th hour, please answer. Questions over here. Thank you again. Yes.
I went to court, Darlene.
Yes, Miss
We
Ivy.
have the truancy program that court interacts with the school. It appears to be more so. A little bit.
And that's part of it. So I will say, not lightly, that we are an educational institution, and we don't just teach our pre-K through our 12th graders, but part of it is also how do we help support our parents so they can support our students. So a couple of districts I've always had what we call parent university. I had it even for my high school district. I had Parent Academy when I was an elementary principal. And those are those grounds, those training grounds for parents to say, like, how do I help my child be more successful without telling them we're trying to teach you how to be a parent? How do I help my child be more successful? Well, part of that is making sure they come to school regularly. Part of that is making sure that if there's an assignment that you do, like, hey, it's real simple. How do you make sure that they did the homework or they did their reading? All these things to help our children be successful. So we'll do those types of things in those parent academies, parent university. And we absolutely have to tackle and work with our court systems to help do that. I see another, yes. Mm-hmm.
Back in school, and they gon' some teachers still pass them on anyway.
Mhm.
If you can't do the work, how you gonna pass me? I can't read. After school children.
Okay.
Still have the, kids know how to write their name, not print their name, write their name. And write your name and you ain't got no shame. That's all.
There we go. Are you responding to that question? Okay, go ahead, Ms. Ivy.
I'm also on the board for communities and schools, and they do offer after-school programs at the elementary level as well.
They have after school.
That's what I thought.
They did.
That's what I thought because I signed off on. Yes. And it's grant funded. Yep. Thank you, Mom. But part of those after-school programs is also a part of the interventions that we're going to have for our students. Earlier I said if you're not proficient, you're making progress, and how do we help you make progress? So after school is one of those interventions. So we will make sure. But thank you for bringing that up, Mom. We'll follow up to make sure we have those options at all of our schools. Yes, ma'am. You mean the state assessment? So one of the challenges we have, we said our focus is on student achievement. And I think I said earlier, we don't have everyone on grade level. Our goal is to move them. So obviously the state has some very ambitious goals to say that all in 2027, 95% of third graders need to be on grade level. Okay, we have quite a bit of ways to go. Part of us doing that is how do we hyper-focus to make sure our instruction is on point, maximizing, and we have the right interventions in place to support those students. So I know we have additional resources, we have supplemental curriculum. How do we make sure that everything we're doing is aligning so that our children are making progress towards proficiency? So that has to do a little bit with, so eventually we're gonna turn that page and we're gonna say, oh good, we're doing much better. That's why I'm here. And so I'm looking forward for us making sure that we keep our community and our families informed about what we're doing to support our students. So it might not look like phonics of what we experience, but it's some other equivalent or program. They say, oh, we're doing this now. Yes.
I would just like to say that with teaching,
Mhm.
and, right, so, I was today, I was like, oh, my head is killing me because there's so. These people are jobs and to help. Not that they're not trying to do a good job. What is it supposed to look like? Because we don't have enough staff to do that.
Because we have vacancies.
Right. We
Yep.
do. We have so many.
This is math they got now, I'm like, man, if I go up and pass math in a second.
Mm. Yes.
Yes.
And Mhm. And part of that can be folded into what we talked about, that parent education, those parent academies, really making sure that our parents, we advertise, we have this coming up, it's a new math program. Here's how you can help your child be successful, is by attending this math training class. Ms. Beaver, did you have your hand up? Yes.
I love the whole support.
Mhm.
Hard to me.
With our children right now. The way that I do it, we get the same answer. They're telling me that it's
Somebody asked wrong.
Because my 9-year-old is like, Mom, my teacher said, so then it becomes like a whole war at home in our homes, where, no, my teacher said this and da 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 da, and I'm riding with my teacher, and, you know, it's a big thing, and it's hard. You know, it's very challenging. So it's like, what do we do as parents? I'm not gonna sit here till 11 o'clock and tell you that 1 plus 1 is 2. Like, you know, so I don't know if, and I, like I said, I'm open for the parent university and all of that. But we gotta keep in mind, a lot of our parents, we work, so if videos can be sent home or
Yep.
something like that to help it out, because it's a miscommunication.
Well, so I am always in favor of multiple ways to access. So even with my PTA meetings in my last district, it was parents who showed up and it was still live streamed. They did a Zoom. So that it wasn't like, oh, I can't make the PTA meeting. Yes, you can. This is Zoom. And so that's the same format that I would love to continue. So yes, hey, I want to do this parent academy. This is really important. I can't make it. There's a Zoom, and then there's a Zoom recording. So that, oh, I missed the PTA meeting. I heard someone was talking about after-school programming. I want to hear about that. Now I have access to it. That's really huge. That helps us keep our community informed and when they're informed, they're more engaged. So those are two pieces that we want to make sure we install. Questions over here? Yes, sir.
Dr. Bornate, pleasure to meet you, and I just want to share with you, I'm a fourth-year teacher of fire and rescue in the CTE program at Central High School. This year I was blessed to be able to teach summer enrichment baseball, 2 hours in the afternoon after summer school.
Okay.
I can't tell you how it warmed my heart to be able to take these third, fourth, fifth, and sixth graders who knew nothing about baseball, maybe one or two knew something, and to see the progress we made in 1 month, 4 weeks. From the beginning, when I ran them, I ran the heck out of them first week to get them to settle down. They learned first, second, third, and home.
Okay.
But to see their athleticism and to see what I could do with them in just about an hour and a half, 5 days a week, it warmed my heart because I know it's possible. If I could do this in 1 month, I think when Ms. Williams talked about the arts, if you child, a third or fourth grader, a sport like baseball, which is a lot of technique, a lot of skill you have to learn, or the piano, or the saxophone, or the violin, if you teach them young, when they get to high school, they'll be good at it. What's happening now in the baseball program in high school is we're teaching freshmen and sophomores how to play the game. You can't be successful in our conference or in this area when you're teaching your freshmen and sophomore how to play the game, and even seniors who are coming along just joining the team. We have to have some kind of concerted effort to call it enrichment, call it whatever you want, to reach the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth graders.
Mr. Gordon, you taking notes on that?
Oh,
Okay.
Gordon's my man. Maybe Gordon's my man. I just wanted to come impress upon you
Absolutely.
my experience. I saw with my own eyes with these third, fourth, and fifth graders doing front flips and cartwheels. I said, the ability that they have, if I can show them baseball, how to run, how to hit, how to throw, we can compete when we get to ninth grade instead of they're just learning as 15, 16-year-olds. Got to happen just like it has to happen with the arts.
Absolutely.
Just like it has to happen with music and things like that. We need to focus on whatever you want to call it, enrichment or intramural sports. We got to reach them by the time they're in third, fourth, fifth grade. By the time they get to Central, it's kind of too late. Can't be successful.
I agree. Yes. So I'm hearing start training earlier. How do we bring our arts to our elementary so that they're being exposed to that earlier, so that they build upon it when they get to middle school and they're really able to compete when they get to high school. That's how that has to work. It has to on both ends. We want all of our students to be well-rounded. We want them to make sure that they're able to compete on the stage, on the field, in the stadium, as well as in the classroom. So that is a huge focus as well. I saw a hand in the back.
All day long, and it just goes to winning.
I
If
agree.
they have something to look forward to work for, then they will lost the ability to want to work for. Often, but I think but Ms. Miller, to keep you going.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Gordon, you have something to add?
Well, I'm just gonna say one of the things that we're trying to do is partner not only with the city, but with organizations, because we know Kiwanis, every other kind of organization
Okay.
that we could go to. And even at that time, it required that we had to do academic work before we could even go out and play. Even when we would go to the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes.
When we would get out and go to the Boys and Girls Club, or you could go to the gym or to the game room, you had to show them that your homework was done. So
Excellent.
those are things that we're working with and
Okay.
continuing to build a relationship. We'll get there.
And that's part of that focus on working with our partners. How do we engage with them? Yes.
He does that, and he does a great job of taking on.
Great. Thank you. Oh, yes.
I appreciate you coming out tonight. I just I'm feeling really good about this. This is really good. So if you can ride this wave, and
Thank you.
when you meet with people,
And I saw your hand. What I have typically done in the past is whenever we have these town halls, these community forums, I always put out like a summary or some notes of what we discussed and some next steps. And so some of that communication will address some of the things you've done. In my previous school district, when we had conversations, and I'll use my staff, and we would have community town halls at the end of the school day or first thing in the morning, I would always sort of color code the document and say, this is in red, we're not gonna be able to do this. This is in yellow, meaning not yet. This is green, like this is happening tomorrow. So we'll use some similar form of communication so we know like, oh, yeah, we can't afford to do this. This needs a lot of work. Oh, this was easy, you know. And so there are some things I've heard tonight that we were thinking about or planning about doing. We were talking about just this morning what we're going to do, the vision for the athletic program, and we had those same conversations yesterday, the vision for the band program. And so I did hear your comment about the arts. I heard the comment about the arts July 1 meeting. So that's already there. So that's why I say, yes, there's going to be some progress made. And now. Mhm. I think we put everything out. And so there was and I can't remember who I can credit this statement to, but they said we're going to throw everything on the wall and see what sticks. So sometimes you have to say, like, well, let's try it and see if parents are like, oh, this is really useful. I'm so glad you did this. We don't know until we try it, though. And so we might videotape, and it's not going to be any extra, hopefully extra labor on the classroom teacher to say, you know what, this is a really important lesson. I'm introducing this new concept of how we're double, whatever we're doing, and I want the parents to know about that. And then eventually that becomes just an apparent library. And then they just go, no one has to keep recording every year. They say, oh, we already have a double in the library already. We already have this in the library. Okay, great. And now we just have to help our parents say, here's where these resources are. You can watch them on your phone. Did I see another hand up? Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, oh, I wanted to know about uniforms. They in uniforms, and also, are they gonna have ID?
I can answer the second question.
Okay.
Yes, we are going to have IDs, badges, elementary through high school.
They have everything, we just never got.
I know that I've seen lanyards. So, thank you. Okay. But we'll get that answer for you. Now, the first part of your question was about uniforms. So I'm going to defer to someone else in the room about uniform questions. Did we change uniform policy? Okay, yes, so yes, there'll be uniforms. Okay. We're going to enforce the uniform policy. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Oh, typing class and computer class.
yes. Yes. So there was, I'll give you a sort of a 45-second response. There was a shift in preparing kids to be successful in those careers. So home economics has been broken up into 2 or 3 different sort of career pathways now. So there is not just really home economics where probably a number of us who were in school, there was sewing. Sewing became fashion construction, fashion merchandising. Cooking became culinary arts, etc. With keyboarding, I took typing and then typing became keyboarding, and then eventually it went away. Of course we do. So, and I think part of what we need to do is what we've done to replace the typing. Just like you said earlier, we may or may not be teaching cursive writing. What we do is we offer some other supplemental program where kids can do, and I forget the name of it, but they type and play games to learn the keystrokes and the location of the keys. That doesn't replace the FFF space and J, for those who are in typing. But what it does is it familiarizes students. But once again, we attach proficiency or progress to everything that we do. So whenever that's happening in your computer class, how do you know all the keys, et cetera? We have to sort of measure and assess that. So I'm probably not saying I'm bringing back typing, but we'll find a ways to assess it. I think Ms. Askew, then we're going to go all the way around this way. Mm-hmm. Okay.
On the outside.
You heard that too? No one told me nothing. So we are closely monitoring school readiness, school opening. So I believe I started this morning walking some of our schools just to make sure, and obviously there are still some furniture in hallways in some buildings. And there's still some maintenance projects going on. And obviously we have HVAC going on in 3 of our buildings. We are aggressively making sure that we're ready to open. We're going to keep you posted. So August 8th, kids come back. And now we're going to swing back around this way. I haven't heard from this parent. Mm-hmm. Yep.
There is a program that we use.
I can't think of it.
It's a program that helps them with their.
Yes.
So there is a formal program that we use. It can be added to class.
Okay. Thank you. Love when our educators in the room help you answer the questions. I appreciate you. Ms. Williams. I did hear. They do.
And to read the clock, so I can take this back to class.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, so I did hear about the need to bring back cursive. So if there's nothing else a student needs, thank you, Miss Ivy. If there's nothing else a student needs to do, and I've been obviously with the student and they are signing for something they're receiving at graduation, to say like, yes, I picked up my cap and gown, and they write their name. They print their name. And so that's not your signature. So that cannot happen. If there's nothing else our students need to do, I'm not saying we're not going to teach cursive. They absolutely need to know how to sign their name. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Williams. Do we have any other questions? Yes.
This is maybe a statement and a question at the same time. Most of us were born in Chicago. And there are some people, though, who both immigrants from another country,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have an influx of people coming in from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge is, I think, is finding homegrown people with
Yes.
across the state line. That causes a little bit of tension sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
At the school. Probably causes challenges, especially with those English ones. How do you propose looking at those students at high mobility rate?
So the question is, how do we embrace and connect the increasing diversity in our communities, not just from migrants, just from people who are coming, or families who come seeking other opportunities because they think, you know, my child's going to be more successful here. And that's not a new problem. We were addressing that issue in my previous roles. We have things that we call sort of, well, first off, you'll hear me say we have to make sure we're talking to people and we're communicating with people. And how do we do that is we inform and we engage. So we have to make sure that we know that there are families who are immigrant. How do we welcome them? And how do we support them? How do we share expectations for them to engage with our community? So, for example, how important attendance is. And even if it's like, oh, are you just passing through or are you putting down roots? We need to know because that's going to impact the success of your child. So those are conversations we absolutely have to have, and we're going to have resources in place to identify so we can allocate resources. The other piece is around students who have infrequent attendance because they're in two systems. So we absolutely need to address that. And I believe we obviously we have some truancy issues, but I'm talking about the difference between our students who are experiencing truancy and those who are chronically absent. You know, how do we identify and allocate different resources for those two groups? Once again, we have to know who they are. We have to investigate so that we know, oh, you live here and you just choose not to have your child come to school regularly. It's different from, oh, you have more than one address. We have to really investigate those. So once again, those are draws and drains on our resources, and that impacts everyone eventually, not just that student. It impacts because they're drawing from things that our students deserve. Yes.
Always been a problem. Extra people there that speak Spanish because the child is trying to explain to the mom, and the mom is getting frustrated, and everybody gets frustrated, and then address that doesn't match, whatever. So I've seen that happen the first day of school, and they come to get their equipment, and it's really frustrating. You know, parents get crying and kids can't go. It's just the whole thing. So when they come home books or whatever, it would be really not just one because the lines are long and you want to get it in and out.
So that might be a resource we have just for the first couple of days of school, that we can employ a couple of translators at each of our buildings that receive parents, and they are in a certain. Yes, there's an app for that. There is an app for that. Yes. Absolutely. And so those are a couple things in my previous role when working with our English language learners and their families. We had a bilingual parent advisory council. I had that in Rich Township in Illinois. I had it in Jersey for those very reasons, to make sure that our parents, once again, they have to be informed so they can engage. And we can't do that if they don't understand what we're saying. Every time. Every time they will. What did he say? He said, I don't have to come to school tomorrow.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Is that a rhetorical question? You want me to? I might not have all the information to answer that right now.
Okay.
It's only day 6 for me.
Not only this area, but other places that you have actually been, and you've got all this information that,
Yes.
and it's just not being followed completely.
So I will make this statement. I think that over the past, and I'll say 18 years I've been an administrator, I've been saying the same statement every year, that parents are the same and students are the same. I also say the same thing, that teachers are the same. They're all the same. So whether I'm in Camden on the south side of Chicago or in Montgomery, Alabama, same parents, same students, same teachers. And it answers your question. Yes, I can sit here at the beginning of the school year and say, here are all the expectations to our students and our families. There has to be someone who's going to reinforce the expectations. I will use uniforms. So someone said they're in uniform. President Archie is, yes, we haven't changed uniform policy. Someone has to enforce it. Yep. And so same with behavior, with attendance. Part of it is saying we always do what we say we're going to do. Every adult has to do that, though. And then the next layer of support are families. Mom and dad, grandma, we said this is the rule. Here's why I need you to support the rule. And I've had, I don't know who mentioned this earlier, they says like, oh, I want to punish the parent because it's not the child's fault that they missed the bus. We can't. So the student gets this consequence, whatever he's getting for being tardy, and we have to work with our families to let them know what's the consequence of them now. Well, because they were tardy, this is the consequence. Okay, and now because of that, they missed some instruction. On top of the instruction they missed because they were tardy. Yes, so we have to put some different systems in place. But yes, people know what they're supposed to be doing. I think we've done a good job of communicating it. And then the next piece is, now how do we reinforce it so we know that this is really important?
A couple of systems in Chicago that I don't.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, let's talk about attendance. And my son is.
Oh, okay.
I was called into family. That was no joke. I'd never been in court before. I was scared. I was like, the judges realize how important education is. Yes. Okay. But we don't see, I have kids who are absent 44 days last year. I feel like nothing happened. Nothing. Right? And then also, I don't understand, and I know that we are
Okay.
particularly for our special, that's who I work with, applied skills. Anytime after 7, I don't comprehend that. My son's time was 6:43. Okay? If I didn't have him at the bus stop at 6 minutes, but we tell our parents, have them ready anytime after 7. I'm talking about for our door-to-door kids.
Okay. Right, because you're specifically talking about special.
You cannot put a child with autism in their clothes before 7 a.m. in their winter gear and expect that they're going to stay there. They get here and the bus hasn't arrived till 7:45. I don't understand that. It's not rocket science. It's scheduling. I don't understand how we can't get these. So I feel like we don't keep, a lot of times we don't keep our. And we are responsible for what? Responsible for.
Fair statement.
So.
But we do need to work
as a
on
teacher, it's
transportation.
frustrating.
Absolutely. How can I hold this kid accountable for being school on time and the bus picked him up late?
Exactly.
Is that the kid's fault? The bus was late.
Or the bus was early.
Oh,
I've had
oh.
They'll say, oh, the bus came 20 minutes earlier today than normal. Because there were so many kids who weren't coming to school today,
Mhm.
that they just kept going on. Well, you can't do that. You have to sit and wait. If they got to that bus stop before 7:43, they still had to wait till 7:46. I had from 7:43. That was my time. So they didn't just go on because my son wasn't.
Gotcha.
They still waited. You'd see the bus parked and, I don't know.
Yes, sir.
We have another issue. Parents working has to be at work when their kids are supposed to be getting ready for school.
You do?
And then what happens is, oldest kid is responsible for getting the younger kids ready.
Mm-hmm.
And if he or she is able to get them ready, and they become tardy. Kind of snowballs because
Yes.
you have a single parent who's doing everything they can to make sure food's on the table, roof is over, and et cetera, but they have to work, and I think this is where another area where the parent university can come in, help assist them in learning some strategies to make sure that the older kid does what he needs to do, or he timely manner, et cetera, et cetera.
Or we provide a before care and after. My kids were in before. They had to be. I had to be at work, same time they had to be at school.
Right.
I can't drop them off, make sure they're there.
That's that partnering with resources again.
Right.
Absolutely. Thank you. Do we have time for one or two more questions? Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Out of school. One high school. Yes, ma'am. Automobile.
Mm-hmm.
Donate art, college, all that stuff. They don't have that anymore.
Good.
I think that's fine. That's something that,
We're working towards. Absolutely.
And then they had like, that's new credits
Mhm.
and stuff. You could go to school half day and
Mhm.
work till half.
Yep. Yep. Work, turn, intern. Absolutely.
sure. But back to the insurance,
Mm-hmm.
double,
Mm-hmm.
that was the problem. Once some does, am I correct? By the time served that parent,
They moved to,
the child was born, but they moved other address. Waste of money. Mondays. No, I take that back. Tuesday.
Mhm.
You gotta get that.
Okay.
Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday, got good count. Friday through Monday, they're out. Over in, wherever they came from. So that was another problem.
Okay.
a
Gotcha.
lot of our tardies are.
Unless you do like Hammond,
Oh.
like Hammond, this is what Hammond does. Drop that child off, and that Hammond police officer's there, and he sees it. That's a license, Illinois, he'll stop you and say, let me see your driver's license.
Mm-hmm.
That, I don't know if that's a city ordinance.
Well, I don't know now, so many districts have done open enrollment,
Okay,
which means if you live in Indiana, you can get that.
yeah.
So because everybody tried to grab that dollar for student count,
Yeah.
they did open enrollment. Are we open enrollment this year?
Hmm.
No.
We're not.
We are.
Are we?
We are.
Board, are we?
We are in Indiana. You have an Indiana license, but we will not accept a student know,
we
your
can't take
parents
somebody
don't
to
have
school.
their own home.
Gotcha.
But, we'll come over and come anywhere.
Say what?
Absolutely.
However,
Right, but not Illinois.
it's my understanding that open enrollment this year will be based on, for
Okay.
example, we have high education rate,
Mm-hmm,
high,
mm-hmm,
intense.
mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
because we're good at what we do, okay? But we don't have enough teachers now to continue to be good at what we do. So it's my understanding, right, that they're going to, it's going to be on an individual basis. So like if they want to come into our program, we can't take them, we just can't.
We're taking our first option of East Chicago residents.
Right,
That's our first option.
right.
And then we go down. But our open enrollment, because if you're open enrollment, you have to be careful with discrimination. We are open enrollment. I don't know how to read it, but I just want to make sure that we have something that has to clarify. Our open enrollment is we are only open enrollment where there is a spot. And other districts say that because other districts will say if we have a spot, we'll take you. But that's also not a understand that's the problem. We open enrollment for anybody. That's our problem right there. And I always say we enroll, we need to close, we need to open it and close it. The only ones that need to be coming in here that are allowed to come in, that allow that is those ones with special needs. For those kids. They can't get service, they can't get service in their district, and they have to go where they can get service at.
So we don't have enough staff.
So I said, this is the law, that's what the law is.
We are open enrollment, but there's a cap, our second grade is full, our second grade is full. If we have 20 spots for ninth grade, we have 20 spots for ninth grade. So it's open enrollment, just with the cap.
I remember that.
But they have to be Indiana residents.
Yeah, no Michigan, no Illinois, yeah, no.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Yeah, we don't think it's real. I like that idea. That's good.
Any other questions? That's it, thank you for coming out.
It's international.
I thank you again. This won't be the last time we have these type of conversations.
Welcome.